Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the CRS 2007 Porsche Carrera Cup GB. Today I will be bringing you rounds 3 and 4, which are held here at the Oulton Park International Circuit. We should have a grid of around 12 cars tonight, maybe a little bit stronger depending on who can get on in the next 15 minutes, but this is the final stages now of the final practice session for this evening's race. Tonight we're going to be having two short sprint races, 20-minute ones, which should be around 12 laps each, with the second race being a top 10 reverse grid of the first. I hope everybody watching is keeping well and I can provide you some decent entertainment for this evening. Looking at the quali times, or the current practice times, we should be looking at a top 3 bunch, and then that mid-pack's also looking pretty close too, so we should be in for quite an interesting little race tonight. Regarding qualifying, it's a 15-minute session, which you can set as many laps as you want to, as long as you do out and in laps as you would in real life. So we see the number 3 car, no, it's the number 24 car of Nick Wu, coming into the final sector. He's currently the fastest of all the practice times, a 10th up the road from Sven Hilger. And then it's Sette Drifter or Simon Benoit in third place with a 1:38.3. Just a static cams here at the moment. Nick is running for Team Zero, an independent for this season in the number 24 car. But as you can see, a fair amount of cars in the pit lane, not too many on track at the moment. Still a fair few laps or a fair few minutes to go before we head off into qualifying. You can see Nick really pushing the limits out onto the curbing. So regarding the car, it's a 2007 Porsche Carrera GT car. All spec series, fixed setup for this, very minimal parameters you can change. The only really being a little bit of the brake bias, as well as tyre pressures. The rest of it really is fixed. I would be racing myself tonight, but unfortunately I've had a hardware issue, so I will be streaming the event for all for you to see tonight. Using all of the curbing on the chicane there to get the car squared up on exit and launch it up the hill down into the second chicane on this back straight. Obviously the old layout had no chicanes whatsoever, and then it was very quick into the right hander here at the bottom of the hill, so they thought it would be a good idea to put one or two in just to slow the cars down a little bit, and it really adds that little bit of technicality to what really is a very fast and flowing old school track. One of the trickiest corners on the circuit. You come round the left hander, the car's really unsettled, and then you've got to slam on the brakes to hit this double apex right hander. And then once again another challenging one. We'll expect to see a lot of lockups here during the race because you've got that crest, so the weight comes off the front wheels under braking, and that will make it a lot easier to lock up into the final corner. And obviously the run out of there, as we see Nick backing it into the corner, fighting it on the opposite lock. But if you run too deep into that final corner, then you know that you're going to get a poor run up the hill too, and it's a prime opportunity for somebody to overtake you into the first corner. Let's have a look at Simon. He's in the number 89 car ran by Team RPM. Teammates with Joel Bowl, who cannot attend tonight as far as I'm aware. Really up the front of the field with some good places in the opening round. He's currently second in the championship with a third and a second on the scoreboard at the moment. So currently he is second in the championship to Riley Gallardo, who managed to win both first races outright at the opening meeting at Donington Park last weekend. So Simon's hot on his heels, closely followed by Nick, who we were just watching in the number 24 Team Zero car. No lock up there from Simon coming into the final corner. Very good control under braking, using the throttle to rotate the car on exit. Slingshot yourself onto the home straight. Doesn't go quicker this time, but we've got 10 minutes left of practice, so it's really all about getting your final bits of consistency in and trying to just finalise a little bit of your braking points, a little bit of your lines. You see Simon's gone for a later apex there, letting the car run wide on entry and bringing it in to slingshot himself down into this fast right-hander. Then once again, another tricky corner on this track, so you've got to try and square the car up for the braking zone for this quite little banked hairpin here. Great corner, and then obviously as the banking comes off on corner exit, you're constantly fighting the car to try and keep the rear end in check, especially with these around 400 or 500 horsepower, I believe, in these Porsches. Really, really want to get going, and you'll be spinning up in first and second if you're not too careful. Currently 9 cars on the server who've set a lap. Very aggressive line there from Simon as well. Really getting the tar tucked in as that's 10 minutes left of practice now. Firing up the hill. Let's go on board, try and find a good view. That's not a good view at all. Some very poor onboard cameras from here as we see a big load of opposite lock. Manages to keep it all in check though as we see car 19, which is Riley Gallardo. Yeah, the current championship leader, he joins the server. Great to see where it puts him in terms of the leaderboard. Big slide from Simon there, but it manages to put him currently as the fastest practice time. We're yet to see what Riley's achieved. Whether the leaderboard will update to that or not when he finally connects to the server, unsure about. But currently your fastest practice time was just set by Simon or Assetto Drifter. He's only a tenth quicker than Nick, and Nick's only a tenth quicker than Sven Hilger. Then as you can see for 4th, 5th and 6th, and even 7th, we've got quite a close little battle there too. We should be having some more cars attend tonight. There are 23 people signed up to this league, so it would be great to see somewhere around the 15 region mark. There's a car in front there, that looked to be the number 6 car. That is Smokey124. He's driving for Motorbase Performance. Ran in CRS for a very long time. Ooh, pushing the limits there, runs a little bit too deep. Let's try not get in the way of Assetto Drifter, who's running through. Nice and clean on the rejoin. Having a look at Rosty, he's in number 21 car. Shouldn't be in a number 21 car, so he must have some skin allocation issues there, unless I can't read. Yeah, seems like we've got some skin allocation issues, as Rosty should be in the number 44 car, which is Team Parker Racing, so we'll have to get that sorted out for next week. Luckily, nobody's driving that 21 car at the moment. Well, no one's signed up in it anyway, so no problems there. Oh, big lock-up under the weight transfer. Unfortunately, loops it, stalls the engine, and he's going to have to return back to pits. Tyler WSX rejoins the server. Driving the lone TWC car. Currently doesn't have a teammate, but he's put in some decent performances too, if I remember rightly. He sits currently in 9th in the championship, so top 10 for him, looking decent. Good evening, Riley Gallardo and Stan and Rabbit, welcome to the stream. It is indeed a live from me, Rabbit Gaming. Having some hardware issues on my end, so unfortunately can't race tonight, so we'll be streaming the race. There will be a short silent moment. Ooh, big hit from the curb there, completely unsettles the car. There will be a short quiet moment where I've got to do a pre-race briefing for everybody, but we'll be straight back onto it for qualifying, so yeah. If you have a small point in the stream where we don't have any audio, that will be why, and it'll probably be for a couple minutes, maybe with 2 or 3 minutes to go before qualifying starts. Kept it on the wall, good job. Smokey124 goes through in the Motorbase Porsche. Currently 5th fastest, not a million miles away from Gardigo, who's in 4th. Gardigo's running the number 9 car, run by QM Engineering. teammate car to Riley Gallardo. Let's have a look at Gardigo. He's just coming into the final sector now. See if he hopefully won't replicate what Simon did, heading down into the section. Very, very tricky corner to get the car stopped. Slam it down a couple gears, throw it in and hope for the best. You see the TWC car in the background. Taking a little bit of curb, a little bit of grass too. Overall looking like a rather clean last sector from Gardigo. A couple more lines he could extend. Doesn't improve his time, but still it's good to get that final little bit of practice in. A little bit wide turn one, but we're not going to worry too much about track limits at this event. Everyone's free to do the same thing, so it's all okay. 5 minutes to go then for the final practice session. We should be looking around the 12 car grid for tonight, so not the largest, but looking at the times we're all pretty close, so should still be able to see some great battles this evening. Good save there from Gardigo. A little bit too deep into the corner. Couldn't pick up the rear and the diff span the car around. Seems like Tyler might be on a quick lap behind. He's flashing the lights, trying to get Gardigo out the way, but it is only a practice session, so that doesn't have to occur. See how observant Gardigo is in the mirrors. Doesn't seem to get out of the TWC Porsche's way at the moment, so we could see a little battle here, just a taster of what to expect this evening. To the people who are in chat and viewing, thank you very much for coming. Big slide. It seems like the TWC car has gone missing as Riley Gallardo goes up into 4th, so that pushes Gardigo down in the fellow teammate QM car down into 5th. But to the people who are watching, how are the audio levels this evening? Just out of curiosity, hope we're not too over the top compared to the engine sounds. I hope I've balanced the audio decently enough. Good evening, Bar Rock. Welcome to the stream. This is on Assetto Corsa on the PC. Big slide there from Gardigo, really struggling with the tyres. Maybe that slide didn't help him out too much, overheated the rears a tad, and once these tyres go, it is quite tricky to get them back. Let's have a look at the other QM engineering car. That's Riley Gallardo. He's in the number 45 car. You see, you can just flick the car into the corner, carry it round on the throttle. That's how you've got to drive them. Massive, massive rear wings on these. So I shall leave you watching Riley. I have to go and do a quick pre-race briefing. And yeah, enjoy the sights of Riley in final practice. Okay, so pre-race brief has been done. We're back on the stream. Apologies that the engine audio cut out for a bit. It's what I had to do because I didn't want the voice chat to be broadcasted onto the stream. Particularly 20 seconds left of final practice before we head over into the qualifying session. Your current fastest driver in practice is Simon Benoit. He's set a 1:37.9. Closely followed by Nick Wu with a 38 flat, then Riley Gallardo with another 38 flat, Sven Hilger with a 38.1. That battle at the front is looking rather intense, but keep your eyes on that mid-pack too. It's a 39s for the 5th and 6th place, and then you've also got some 40s for 7 and 8s. So hopefully when they're all battling, that will keep them all nice and together. I've slightly turned down the volume for the cars, so hopefully that will rectify the issue that we've had with the audio going over, but please do let me know if there is any need for a change. It's been a long time since I've done some commentary in a stream. Massive slide there from Riley, slams on the anchors, manages to keep it all together though. Very, very good bit of driving there. Great skill, and I'm sure he's going to bring it back into the pit lane now. Riley being the only car currently out on track. There we go, back into the pit lane for the end of practice. So are there any questions at all from the people in chat about the league? Anything you want to know? Anything that piques your interest that you're not 100% sure about? Feel free to chuck the questions in. It's all about getting involved. We can all have a little bit of a chat during the slight... what's the right word of saying? The cooldowns in each part between the sessions. So the car is it's basically running similar physics to the IER GT America Porsche, so they suit the car quite well. It's got just enough power to be leery, not too much to be undrivable. The hardest thing about it's probably the brakes. Very, very bitey depending on where you run the brake bias. So that's one thing you've got to be really wary about here. Luckily, we are running a fixed setup and Riley is in charge of that for the most part. And he's slightly softened up the dampers a little bit for this one. So what he's done is just to allow the car to cope with the bumps a little bit more. As we see everybody fly out of the pit lane here. We have to try and find a car, preferably Riley up the front, so we can get onto an F7 cam and watch everybody fly through. You can see Riley's really trying to warm up his tyres here. He's got a Tau behind him, then the TWC car of Tyler WSX is also looking to come through. Got to be very careful for the first couple laps. The tyres are pretty cold. You can see everybody sliding through this quick right-hander here by the lake. Regarding the cars, both cars had their quirks, Rabbit. Both of them definitely did. The BMW was... I had the freedom of setup on there, whereas with the Porsche I don't. Ooh, big spin there from the 21 car. That would be Krusty Rusty. And we've also got another spinner coming out of the chicane. It's only your outlap, guys. Take it easy. Get those tyres nice and warm. So you can see what Riley's doing. Doing a little bit of weaving just to try and get the temp in. But we've got Nick Wu, Tau and Tyler WSX all in pretty close proximity. You might want to give each other a little bit more space for your qualifying times. It's a 15-minute session. And we shall be watching Riley Gallardo for the first lap. You can see he backs the car up into the corner to get a slingshot out the exit. You might be able to gain a tenth for a half there. Just heading down into the first corner by doing that. So it's Riley Gallardo first across the line, followed by Tyler, then Nick and a Tau in the background. This will be the first set of laps to go through. Set your benchmark times. Quite a big gap there. It seems to be is that Gardigo in the number 9 car, the QM engineering machine. Closely followed by one of the independent Porsches. One of the motor-based cars, I believe. Might have been the number 2 car. That could have been Sven. There's Rossi going a little bit wide. Another one of the motor-based Porsches too. So we see Riley now down in the hairpin. Let's get on board with him. See how he throws the car through the chicane. Unfortunately, we don't have great auxiliary cameras on this car, so we're going to have to go into the cockpit view. A little bit of limiter bashing. Unfortunately, we've lost Tyler from the session. Braking at the 100-meter board, down into second gear. Flicks the car in, using the curb to get that little bit of extra rotation. And up the hill we go, under the Dunlop Bridge. One of the trickiest corners on the track. It's all against you. The bumps fighting against the car, but luckily we've got that good fixed setup where the dampers can just cope with it that little bit more. So we should be seeing the baseline times come through shortly. It will be Riley Gallardo first, with Nick Wu just behind him, about a corner behind. Base mark time, we've got a hit then. It was a 37.9 in practice. Riley manages to knock out a 37.9, so good time there. What about Nick? Nick can go a 39.1, so a little bit of a sloppy lap there from him. But it's a base mark time in, with Fatal goes third with a 42.2. So about a 5-second gap at the moment, but there's still 10 minutes left of the session. Seems like a few people didn't get clean laps their first time out. A little bit of a lock up there from Riley under braking. Manages to get the car stopped though, but it looks like he might have bailed out of the lap there a little bit. He's got Tyler behind, but Tyler is on an out lap. Then Nick is behind him. You can see him using all of the curb. It'll be a great little camera shot this, to try and see how much curb people are using. Gardigo coming up next in the silver QM car. All of the curb on the inside. Seems like everybody's trying to straight line their way into that corner. That's the number 2 car. That might be Sven Hilger, I believe. Didn't attend the first round. I'll have to double check the entry list. That is indeed Sven Hilger. One of the 2 Redline racing cars running tonight, the other being a Tau. See Rosti being a lot more cautious, not using as much curb there through the chicane. One of the motor-based cars, that's number 6. That should be Smokey 124 as well. And then this will be the number 37 car, as well as the Team RPM car of Simon. Might be worth having a watch of Simon if we can. Not sure whereabouts we'll find him. Don't want to flick through too many people. But Simon was the fastest in practice. Seems like I went the wrong way there with the keyboard. Luckily, during the race, I'll be able to click on everybody's names, so we won't have any of that flashing. But we've got a car off wide. And that's one of the names I hope I don't have to pronounce too much. But that's Hristo Pechev in the number 37 ABG Motorsport car. So, let's see what Simon can get out of the box. This might be his first flying lap, as Smokey124 goes 4th fastest with a 39.7. A little bit of a slide there from Simon out the final corner, all the way up through the gearbox into 4th gear. What is he going to be this time round? He's going to go 3rd fastest with a 38.5. But we have seen that he was the fastest in practice with an almost matching time to Riley Gallardo. So this top 4 is looking to be pretty close, and that's quite a surprise too. Lowercase with a 39.1. That puts him in front of Smokey in the motor-based Porsche. Good little time there from him. Be an interesting one to watch to see if these top lot are battling, see if LC can stick with them. Does show some really, really good pace at times. A little bit deep there from Simon. But he might have been able to carry a little bit more exit speed from doing that. We'll have to see where he stands next time round. Great sound from these Porsches. Good evening, Mateus. Welcome to the stream. So, we're only on rounds 3 or 4. But the top 5 of the championship, your current leader is Riley Gallardo with a double victory at the opening rounds at Donington Park. Then it's Simon Benoit, who we're currently watching now in the number 89 Porsche. He got a third and a second. That puts him in second place, trailing 6 points behind Riley at the moment. Nick Wu's in third with a second place, and I don't think his second race went too well. He had an incident on the first lap, which meant he had to crawl his way all the way from the back of the grid, and that meant that he ended up all the way down in fifth place compared to where he finished second in the first one. Good laps there from Simon. That's put him on provisional pole with a 37.8. That's the fastest time I believe we've seen. I'd have to get the S tracker up, but I do believe that's the fastest time we've had this throughout all of practice and this evening. It is indeed a 37.8. So his sector time wasn't as quick in the first sector as Riley's lap was, but he managed to gain just over half a tenth in the final sector and 2 tenths in the middle sector, and that overall allowed him to get pole at the moment. Let's see if Riley can respond to that. He's just coming out of the final corner now. He's got Sven Hilger not a million miles behind either. Hasn't managed to put in a lap as good as he did in practice yet. That was a 38.1, which would still hold him in fourth place at the moment, but can Riley respond? Not this time round. What about Sven? Sven can, down to a 38.4, so a good lap from him, getting him closer to that top 3 battle. Quite an intense qualifying session so far. All the times changing up around the grid. Smokey124 goes up into 5th place, just pipping lowercase by a second. Oh, a tenth of a second, sorry. But anyway, the rest of the top 5 of the championship, we're looking at myself in 4th place with 2 4th place finishes at Donington. And then it's Andreas Specht in the number 7 motorbase car with a 5th and a 3rd, holding off for the final position in that top 5. Should have access to live timing, I believe. Have to double check that. Yes, I do. So it seems like the majority of the front runners have set about 5 or 6 laps. It was a good little improvement there from both Nick and Sven to get that a little bit closer. Ooh, very, very wide there for Sven at turn 1. That's not going to help him out whatsoever. Let's have a look at Nick as a Tau goes up into 8th in the second of the Red Line racing cars. You are indeed arriving, Stripes. Welcome to the stream, as well as you, Lenny. Hello. When are you looking at jumping in then to join this league? 'Cause it's only a matter of time, isn't it? Try and put on a good show for you tonight, and maybe you'll consider joining. Let me know how audio levels are too. Would be good to know, because especially when we've got a few cars going past. Might be a little bit too quiet on the microphone, so keep me updated on that if possible. So we see Nick Wu here, currently in 3rd place. 3 minutes left of the session, so that should be around 3 laps left for each driver, depending on how it goes. Obviously, your fuel load, and you don't want to put in too much, because your early laps will be a bit of a waste, but then again you've got to get the tyres up to temperature too. We've been very lenient on track limits here tonight, Stripes, so not much of a problem. See if Nick can improve this time round. Not this time. Don't know how far off he was, because unfortunately I don't get that on the graphic. But 3 minutes left of qualifying. 1 lap is just over a minute and a half, so it would be safe to say you've got 2 flying laps left, especially for Nick anyway. Let's have a look at Gardigo. He's just improved, got down to a 39.1. Ooh, very, very big slide. Don't back it into the wall. Oh, he has, unfortunately, but manages to keep the car going. So there's no returning to pits. During qualifying, you've got to go all the way around, and that could be his qualifying over, because I don't think he's going to get back to an in-lap and have time to set another flyer. So that'll be some rear aero damage. That's not what he wants this late into the qualifying. Lowercase sat in the pit lane with Tyler WSX as well as DJ Harris. He hasn't set a qualifying lap yet. Smokey coming out of the final chicane. Seems like he's had enough and he's going to be heading into the pits. If he gets it done quick, he should have enough time to set another lap. Let's see if he's going for a quick splash and dash. Might not be the case. We've got a yellow flag for Sven Hilger. He's spun coming out of the second chicane. Don't know if he got in anybody's way at all. Manages to get the car back going as we see Gardigo in the background. See what kind of lap he's on. Had a massive slide, didn't he, at the first corner. So obviously it's not looking great, but we'll have to see if he returns to pits. As Nick Wu, he manages to go to a 37.7. That's the quickest lap we've seen all week throughout practice. And he's going to pull over to the side of the track, and if he returns to pits, that will be the end of his qualifying session. No need to do an in-lap. Obviously, he can't go back out at this point. Not that he would anyway, because he cannot get a time in. So, let's see if Simon can respond. He's got the second of the Red Line Racing cars behind him. That's a Tao down in 8th place with a 39.8. What can Simon do then? This will be his final flying lap that he's just heading on to now. No improvement this time round. What about Riley Gallardo? He's just down at the hairpin, but he's got Rosty in front of him. So we'll have to see if Rosty gets out of the way. This isn't a good place to catch someone, and Rosty's not getting out of the way, unfortunately. And Riley's going to lose a lot of time here, and that will be Riley's lap over, I believe. Very unfortunate there that Rosty got in his way, so we'll go back to Simon. That might indeed be a penalty if it's reported there for Rosty. Oh, very, very big slide. You can see the rear brakes locking up a little bit, kicked it out, but he should be able to get the slingshot out of the corner, launch it down into this first chicane. Let's see how aggressive he's going to be. Simon now is probably the only one who's going to be able to dethrone Nick from pole position. Oh, very, very big slide. You can see how hard he's pushing. He's got to find literally 0.03 of a second to get that, and its qualifying's now over, so this is his final lap. It's not been great in the first sector and a half. Have to see if he can push the car really hard for this last sector. It's got to be perfect if he wants this pole position. It's right on the limit. You hear the engine RPMs shoot right up, slamming down the gearbox. Very, very clean through there. A little bit of a touch of the curb on exit, getting all of the track that he can. Hard on the brakes just before the crest. Don't lock the fronts up. A little bit of a four-wheel slide. That's going to rock him out right from the apex. He's onto the grass coming out of the final corner. I don't know if it'll be enough. We'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, not enough this time round. So your pole sitter for this round will indeed be Nick Wu, so congratulations to him. So here we see Andreas Specht, quite a late entry in the Motorbase Porsche. See if he can improve on his time at all, as he was very, very up close to the front, but this looks like it could be an in-lap from him. It is indeed a flyer. Maybe we just had a little bit of internet lag there, and he improves up into 9th place. So that was the final car as we head into the two 20-minute races. So, your pole sitter, Nick Wu with a 37.7. Simon Benoit in second place with a 37.8. Riley Gallardo in third with a 37.9. Very, very close there. Sven Hilger as well, not a million miles away. And Sven and Smokey kind of in a little bit of no man's land. And we've got that 6th and 7th place battle that was looking really close in the practice session 2 between those two. They were very, very close, and then everybody else behind should be able to find their way into a battle with everybody else going on. So I must remember to return to pits at the start of the session, because obviously otherwise my car would be parked on track, which wouldn't be great. Wouldn't be great at all, would it? So heading over into the race session. We will get this out of the way. Now I can't return to pits yet, and I don't think the button on my wheel is working, so I'll have to do that manually when the race starts. But we've got DJ Harris at the back of the field. We shall get an onboard with Nick Wu. Maybe we will have to find a good camera to go off if we put a free cam up on the way down to the first corner just to get everybody's starts and switch over. Of course, this is all entirely planned and running to schedule. 40 seconds till the lights go out. Nick Wu is your pole sitter. First time this season. We've got Simon Benoit in second, Riley Gallardo in third. It's all going to be about who can get the best launch down into the first corner. So we hear the revs rise. 12 laps of the Oulton Park International Circuit is almost go. 5 lights are on. And the lights go out. A little bit of a delayed start from Gardigo. Further down, and it looks like Nick Wu is going to lead the pack into the first corner. Simon Benoit's trying to go around the outside. No room there. Very, very wide moment on the grass. He covers the inside for Riley Gallardo, looking for every little gap he can get. The train goes down the hill. Nick Wu still in the lead of the race. Simon Benoit second. Riley Gallardo third. Sven Hilger in fourth. Everyone's looking for positions. It's not a good place to overtake here. Cold tyres, remember that too. Nick goes down into the hairpin, leading the pack. I should probably return to pits. Let's get this race back up and running. We've got one of the cars off in the background. I believe that was Andreas Specht in the Motorbase Porsche. It was indeed in the white and green car. That's him out of the race most likely. Still got a yellow flag. But it looks like he's back up and running again. 15 seconds off from the leader. Still holding the current order. Smokey 124's managed to get past Sven Hilger further down the grid. Those two very, very close. We've got some side-by-side battles too. Lowercase manages to go around the outside of Sven. Great move there. And the Tau's looking to go through too in the second of the Red Line Racing cars. Everyone following each other around. No real places to look for overtaking here yet. Almost a second gap between Nick and Simon at the front of the field, with Riley Gallardo hot on the back of Benoit's heels. Smokey 124 managed to get up into fourth place. Lowercase got past Sven, so not a great start for Sven. All the cars very, very clean line through the first corner. Oh, Zatal goes very, very wide. Let's see if he can rejoin safely. It's going to be a bit of a dodgy one, but doesn't get in the way of Tyler whatsoever. We've got Lowercase run wide. That's Sven Hilger back up into fifth place. The 23 car of Chab Racing had a good start. Managed to go around the outside of him at the second of the chicanes, but unable to hold it, running too deep at the bottom of the hill. About 6 tenths between each car at the moment at the front of the field. And the main battles in this mid-pack between Sven and Lowercase. Seems like Gardigo and Pagev have had a moment as they've dropped quite a way back now. As Andreas Specht goes past Gardigo too, but Sven's looking for the inside of Smokey coming into the second chicane. Not quite close enough this time round. Now he's got Lowercase all over the rear bumper, and Tyler WSX is looking there too. Simon Benoit's now only through of him 3 tenths of Nick Wu at the front of the field, closing down quick. Oh, big slide from Lowercase on the entry to the corner, manages to keep it all together. Oh, he's on the grass on exit, really, really pushing the limits. Andreas Specht and Rosti also very, very close further down the field. Specht goes for the inside. He runs deep. Look at this battle down for 10th place. Oh, so we've got Gardigo off into the barrier. Don't know if he's managed to keep the car running there. Lowercase and Tyler seems to have some, maybe some dive bombing going on. This is the first corner. There's so much going on in this Porsche Race 1 as the leaders are now all within a second of each other too. Round the banked hairpin. You can only separate them with a car's length. What a race this has been so far. Only on lap 3 of 12, a quarter of the way through the race. Oh, as Riley Gallardo hits the curb, that's really upset him. That's going to ruin his run up the hill too. He's dropped a second and a half back from the leaders. Now he's got a lot of work to do as he gets caught up on the curb as well. Depends if Simon and Nick are going to work together, but knowing those two, it's going to be an all-out battle for the lead. I don't think they're going to work together to create a gap. That's just not how they're wired. And I'm sure that'll be some great content for the stream. Nick going a little bit defensive. Not sure he needs to yet. He's still got half a second gap to Simon Benoit in second place. .39.1, so Riley's lost about 6 tenths that lap to the car in front of him. Oh, big slide from Simon Benoit. Riley's got a lot of work to do, but he's still got 2/3 of the race to go. Some very, very quick drivers at the front of this field. Very, very hot into the hairpin from Simon, but managed to get it all stopped. You can see how hard they're all pushing. Riley Gallardo's managed to get the gap down to a second. You can tell they're all on the ragged edge, and that's a poor exit there from Simon Benoit. He's having to go so defensive, maybe a little bit of contact. They all go squirrely down the straight, and this is perfect for what Nick needs, as this is going to allow him to get a bit of a gap. If these two start battling, that's only going to be a great thing for Nick. He should just be able to drive off into the distance. We'll have to see how it all pans out. Shout out to Gardigo in the chat. You should be able to rejoin, it's not a problem whatsoever. So we've now only got a 3/10 gap, and we can see that Sven Hilger's catching Smokey as well, so the battle for 4th place is spicing up too. Tyler WSX and Lowercase also rather close. You see the 9th and 10 cars, that's Andreas Specht being chased too, only 3 seconds behind. Down to the bottom of the hill, it's still Nick Wu in the lead, holding that second gap to second place of Simon Benoit. Riley Gallardo about half a second behind, so they were so close, nose to tail. This time a lap ago. 5 laps into this 12-lap race. Your leader, Nick Wu, driving for Team Zero. That's Simon Benoit for Team RPM, and he's once again got a sloppy exit. Riley Gallardo's going to go to the outside this time. Can he run it all the way around into the second chicane? They're later on the brakes, side by side. This is very, very close. Simon's still there. Is he going to hold it for the inside? Yes, he is. Oh, look at that. What a manoeuvre from Riley Gallardo. Great little setup there. Great execution, and congratulations to both of them for not making any contact. But that move has put Nick Wu 2 seconds up the road, but unfortunately that was the only way it was going to go down. Big slide from Riley on exit, and now Riley's got 7 laps to try and gain 2 seconds on the pole sitter, Nick Wu. That battle as well for 4th place, Sven Hilger and Smokey 124. The number 2 Redline Racing car versus the number 6 Motorbase Performance Machine. Seems to be spicing up as well. I said it would 2 laps ago, and here we are. Not even half a second between them. both. A bit of a sloppy lap from Smokey last time round with a 39 because the Red Line Racing Porsche has closed right up on him now. Less than half a second as we go through the bottom of the hill. Fastest corner on the track at the end of the straight. Smokey's a little bit wide. He's also locked the brakes up. He's deep into the hairpin. That's not what he needs. A little bit deep as well from Smokey. Not going to get the greatest exit here. Sven cuts the car into the corner, and that's going to gain him more time down into the second chicane. But I think he's a little bit too far back here to try and make a move. Still halfway through the race. A lot of time to go. Ooh, big slide from Smokey. Manages to hold it as Andreas Speck's working his way back up through the field after the lap 1 incident at the hairpin. He's now up into 8th place. Now got 9 seconds to try and chase down on the next Red Line Racing car. That's a Tau in the blue and yellow machine. You can really tell both these drivers are on the limit here. A little bit of a lock up from Smokey. Manages to get the car stopped though. Looking at the times, it was all pretty close. 38.3, 38.4, 38.4 from the top two, or the top three. And Nick's managed to pull that gap out to 2.2 seconds that time round. It's all working in his favour this evening. Tyler WSX drops down to 10th place. If he can hold it there, that will be pole position for the reverse grid. Oh, very, very big slide there from Sven. Catches the rear wheel on the grass. Keeps it all together though. No spin at all. Some great, great car control. Not quite enough of a mistake to put him in the reaches of lowercase, but that's given some very, very big breathing room to Smokey in 4th place. Now got a 4-second gap. Further down the field, we've got DJ Harris and Tyler WSX. This is the Team WC Porsche and the Team Parker racing car. A little bit sloppy from both of them. Tyler goes over the grass. He's going to struggle to clean them tyres up, get the power down. That's going to mean DJ Harris has got a much better run out of the corner. Oh, but DJ Harris loops it. Hooks the rear wheels up, and that's going to be Tyler back up to 9th place. We've got a 38.0 from Riley. Not sure what Nick's lap time was last time round. But he's definitely pulling the gap now to Simon Benoit in 3rd place. Let's look how the car compresses through that corner. It's great to see. Let's have a look at our race leader. That's Nick Wu in the Team Zero Porsche. You can see Riley's trying to bring that gap back down now. It's back into the 1 second mark. You see DJ Harris gets back past Tyler, so maybe a mistake there from him. Riley Gallardo's really on a charge at the moment, nearly taking a second out of him this lap alone as we're coming up to back markers. See Krusty Rosty's about 135 down off the leaders, so they will be approaching him shortly. You can kind of see that Riley's pulling Simon Benoit with him. The gap was 2.7, now it's down to 2.2 to the leader. 4 laps to go this 12-lap race. Hopefully we won't have any issues with Rosty like Riley did in qualifying, and everybody should be able to get back through. As we see that battle once again, Tyler WSX goes back past DJ Harris. Both so wide at turn 1. No track limits at turn 1, it's as wide as you want to run. So let's see if Rusty can get out of the way of the leaders. He's pulling over to the left-hand side. No, he's not. He's got some cars coming up very, very quickly behind him, so he's going to have to think about getting out of the way rather soon here. Whether that's slowing down and going wide on the hairpin and let them go through. He's let Nick go through. He's slow. I don't think he's going to be slow enough. He's got to get out of the way here. Blocks Riley a little bit on corner exit. He's got to let Simon Benoit go through here as well, which indeed he does. Riley didn't seem to lose too much time overall. The gap's still 1.2 seconds, but I'm sure it would have been a little bit closer if he could get all that corner exit. Maybe it's time to go back and have a look at that Tyler and DJ Harris battle, as these two seem to be swapping places all the time. But that gap's now down to 1 second. Oh, DJ a little bit deep. But we've got Pachev as well. He's managed to get the gap back down. He's only 2 seconds off the back of DJ Harris. And if these two keep making mistakes, this could be a reverse grid pole position for him. Commentator's curse. He's ran wide. And he's off into the tyre barrier. Yellow flag for him. The number 37 APG Motorsport car. Commentator's cursor. I do apologise. Heading back to the leaders. Daddy Dave, Nick Wu, leading the race, doing a very, very good job. Not as quick last time round as Riley Gallardo, who's been setting some super consistent times, low 38s, and managed to get the gap back down. It's still 1.2, but it's a lot closer than it was 3 laps ago. These three have really been untouchable all race. It's been Smokey who's been the only one who's really been able to keep with them. Obviously Sven Hilger unfortunately had a pretty poor start to the race through no fault of his own, just getting caught up and swallowed up in the field. Kept the car running, he's now running 6th place, but Smokey and Lowercase have both got past him. The action's tailed off a little bit in the second half of the race. Oh, as soon as I say that, Simon Benoit too deep into the second chicane, and that's almost guaranteed him third place. But the gap now is under a second for the lead of the race. It's going to be 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Riley Gallardo's got to find half a second a lap if he wants it, and even doing little bits like that's not going to help him. Look at that, 2 tenths down, and it might be even more by the start or the start of the next lap. Nick's drove exceptionally well this race with no major mistakes whatsoever. 38.1, that's a new personal best from him. It was still a 38.1 from Riley, so God knows what lap he was on last time round, but it must have been fast. He's got to find 6 tenths a lap if he wants to get Nick. But judging by the way Nick's lapping at the moment, it's going to be a very, very tough call. Lowercase and Sven Hilger, 2 laps to go. Just coming down into the bottom of the hill, these two very close. This is a battle for 5th place. The chap racing car of Lowercase running a little bit too wide. Fastest corner on the circuit by the lake. Throw the car in, hope for the best. These two, now the closest 2 cars on track. Lap and a half to go for them. Riley's got the gap down to 8-7 tenths of a second. Not sure what's happened to Nick there. But Riley is getting the job done. They'll be heading on to the final lap soon. As these guys seem to be coming up to the back marker of Rusty too. Rusty will have to get out of the way rather sharpish, preferably before they go up the hill. Doesn't seem to be doing so. This could get quite spicy. Sven needs to back off here and capitalise from this. He's got to let LC get messed about a little bit by Rusty if he wants to take advantage. Rusty pulls to the inside, so does Sven. Rusty's yet to back out. Very sloppy bit of backmarker driving there, unfortunately. And that's a big slide from Sven. Head first into the barrier. Very unfortunate for him. Atau's just coming around the last corner too. Where's that going to put him? The second of the red line racing cars. It's now the first. That's Atau up into 6th place. So let's head back to the leaders, down into the hairpin for the final time of this race. Riley Gallardo's the only other car in shot. A mistake from Simon Benoit at the second chicane has put him a fair few car lengths back now. But Riley's really close that gap up. It's dipping below a second. But Nick has done an absolutely outstanding race. Consistency has been spot on and his lap times have been nothing but almost perfect. All Nick's got to do is the final sector and bring it home. You can see how close Riley is, but I'm not sure he's going to have enough racetrack to do it. It's one of them where if it was a few laps longer, the story of this race could be entirely different. A big slide from Nick under braking. That's going to ruin his run out of the corner. How close can Riley get? 6/10. I don't think he's going to be close enough. Just a little bit too far back, I'm afraid. Nick comes around the final corner, and it looks like it's going to be his first win of the season for the number 24 car. Congratulations, Nick. We've very closely followed by Riley Gallardo in 2nd place, and Simon Benoit brings the car home in 3rd. It's going to be Smokey 124 in 4th place, rounding out the best of the rest with Lowercase and Atau bringing their cars home respectively in 5th and 6th. I say that, Lowercase has spun on the final corner and Atau stuck behind Rusty, so this could be a 5th place here for Atau for the number 5 car. It is indeed going to be the case. What about Sven Hilger? Can he get past Lowercase? He can too. So that's Lowercase down into 7th place. Sven gets that place back. Wow, what an interesting end to the race. Very, very intense there as Andreas spins the car around on the coming home lap. Tyler WSX round the double apex right for the final time. Showed some signs of brilliance this race, just hasn't been able to piece it all together. Little bit of a lock up there too, just trying to bring the car home now. Do it safe. Very unfortunate there for LC. That was, I'm sure that's not what he wanted on the final lap of the race either. Congratulations to Nick Wu. That's your race winner. So it's looking like Paychev's going to be on pole for the reverse grid with Tyler WSX alongside him. Andreas Specht on the 2nd row with Lowercase. So even though Lowercase lost out this race, he's in a very, very good position as Riley's upside down. That's not what you want to do on an in-lap at all. But this means that it's going to be very, very close on this 2nd race. Luckily, it's only a top 10 reverse grid. I'm not sure why DJ Harris and Atau have left, because it's 2 races. It's not 1. Okay, time to take a screenshot of the results. Get that in quick while I can. As we will head over to a top 10 reverse grid. Oh, just about got that one in time. Congratulations to Simon Benoit for the fastest lap of the race. So your pole sitter is Hristo Paychev. Tyler WSX will be on 2nd if he can get back into the server. Andreas Specht in 3rd. Lowercase in 4th. Then we're missing Atau, who should be 6th. DJ Harris is 12th on the grid this time round. I should be at the back. I am indeed, not in anybody's way. So we'll make sure to return to pits at an appropriate time during the first lap of the race. have to set this camera up once again to try and get a decent camera angle for the start, because none of them are very good. This is not great either, but it will have to do. So we're missing a few cars from the grid due to people, I don't think, realising it's a 2-race event. So, yeah, we've got some gaps in the field, and there's going to be even less people this time round. But as the lights go on, 10 seconds till green, you hear the engine revs rise. There's going to be Hristo Pechev on pole position, all alone on that front row. Lights out. It's green. Great start from Andreas Specht on the front row. He's going to be in the lead coming into the first corner. Sven Hilger's looking to go around the outside. Contact, and that's Hristo Pechev, who collects Simon Benoit off into the first corner. Lowercase is looking to go around the outside of Andreas Specht in the motor-based car, the Chab Racing 23 white Porsche, currently in the lead of the race. It's going to be very, very brave trying to go around the outside on cold tyres, but Lowercase has done it. What a move. Smokey124 also looking to go around the outside of Nick. Very, very close there. And that Smokey through up into third place. What a start it's been from him. A little bit of a slide on the exit. Is Nick going to be able to carry some more speed? No, he's not. Sven Hilger's also there side by side with Riley Gallardo. No room there to Nick to go through, but there is for Riley. What a move that was late on the brakes. Great, great little bit of overtaking. What about Daddy Dave? Nick Wu. Can he go around the outside? Replicate what Riley did in race 1? He's not going to be close enough. Smokey parks the car in the middle of the track, and that must have been very, very deep there from Andreas Specht. He's not had a great start of the race at all. Gardigo, though, he's up in the 7th place. What a start it has been from him. So we see the trainer cars now go up the hill into the final sector for the first time. Tyres will still be cold. It'll be very interesting to see how people react. That's a big clout of the curve from Sven Hilger. That's not what he wants. That's going to ruin his run out of the double apex right-hander. So the majority of the field seems to have got through okay. Big lock up from Andreas Specht. Smokey124 in 3rd place. Nick Wu, your race 1 winner, in 4th. Riley Gallardo in 5th. Sven Hilger in 6th. And I forgot to do the thing. Very unfortunate. Sorry about that, guys. My bad. There was just so much action going on. As that Smokey124 off. And that's Riley Gallardo and Nick Wu up into 3rd and 4th respectively. And that's also Sven Hilger up into 5th. Not been a great couple corners there for Smokey. But all of this madness has meant that your leader, Lowercase, has managed to pull out almost a second over Andreas Specht. But Andreas is hot on his heels. Half a second now. Managed to pull it back. So must have been quite cautious on the brakes there from LC. Andreas has been very, very fast. He's just hadn't had the practice that he needs. Look at the corner exit speed. He's nearly pulled a second on him in 2 sectors. Nick Wu 3rd place. Riley Gallardo in 4th with Sven Hilger and Smokey124 must have had some sort of incident there. Both their names gone yellow. Sven's looking for the rejoin. Very unfortunate there. Must have been some sort of manoeuvre between the two that ended up badly. Andreas Specht, his 2nd place car, hunting down the leader, Lowercase. Listen to the sound of these Porsches peel off the final corner. What a sound it is. Coming on to lap 3 now. Riley and Nick looking a little bit spicy on corner exit. Must be some rather strong pace at the front. That's a 38.2 from Simon Benoit. Looking to be the fastest lap of the race as well. He's worked his way back up to 6th after having a lap 1, turn 1 collision. Only 8 seconds off the leaders. We'll have to see how well Lowercase can defend to see if that gap can close down much more. All I can advise him to do, if he is listening, just park that car in the middle of the track. Very tricky to overtake in this middle sector. These top 4 extremely close now. Nick and Riley, Lowercase and Andreas Specht, all close together. You see Sven Hilger's managed to get past DJ Harris. That is the Red Line racing car then going past one of the Motorbase cars. No, it's the Team Parker racing car, I believe, of DJ Harris. Your current leader is the independent, lowercase and Chap Racing Porsche, Andreas Specht, Motorbase. Then another oh, big slide there from lowercase. Great save, but Andreas Specht is going to be all over the rear of him. There's nothing else he can do. It's going to be very hard to try and hang it around the outside here. Thinks wisely, cuts the car into the corner and get on the power that little bit earlier. Doesn't loop it round this time like he did in the last race. Is he going to be close enough to try and challenge into the first corner? What a clean move from Andreas Specht. Lowercase is on the brakes early. Tucks it back in behind Andreas. So now they head back down the hill, but here comes Nick Wu. That little overtake between the turbines lost all the little advantage that they had. And this is now, oh, lowercase locks up. He's off wide. And that means it's now a three-way battle for the lead. Let's see where else he rejoins. Gardigo might be able to get past him because lowercase has got a lot of momentum to build back up, and that's Simon Benoit now. Really close to Gardigo too. Let's go back to this lead battle. There's so much going on at the moment as Nick punts the rear of Andreas and Riley punts the rear end of Nick. So, oh, got to be careful there on the rejoin, guys. Gardigo and Simon Benoit. That was a very sloppy little bit of driving there from everybody, unfortunately. But now we've got another four-way battle, this time for second place. Simon Benoit loops it on the curb. It's all going on at the moment, so that's probably going to be another place for Nick. It's really not been a great last couple corners, I'll be completely honest. But this means that Andreas Specht, up to second, lowercase holds third. And Gardigo has come all the way from the back, pretty much, up to fourth. So great race from him so far. Riley Gallardo with a 3-second lead, looking rather promising for the race to go in his favour at the moment, unless he makes a mistake, but knowing him, that's going to be very unlikely. Simon Benoit then is now 13 seconds off the lead, or 6 seconds off the back of this pack. Nick has got a lot of work to do, but luckily all the cars are pretty close to him, and a big slide like that is going to make life rather easy for him from Gardigo. Gardigo luckily goes to the inside in the QM Engineering Porsche. Nick in the independent car looks to go around the outside. What a move! He's so wide into turn one. If that sticks, I'm not sure that'll go down particularly well. No, he doesn't get the place. Great driving from Gardigo. Covers him off into the bottom of the hill. Bit of a slide. That's going to ruin some momentum though. And knowing Nick, he's going to put his nose in wherever he can. He looks to the outside. Not sure this is a particularly smart move, guys. Let's see if it can be done. Round the outside he goes. Gardigo smartly backs out and lets Nick go through. Knows he's the quicker car. And now he's on the trip for third place. He's lowercase. Lowercase still sticking with Andreas, only 6/10 between those two. So, been not a bad drive so far from lowercase this time round. Of course, he had his off at the bottom of the hill, but he's managed to recover quite well. The Sven Hilger goes past Hristo Pechev further down the field. Smokey 124 all the way down in 9th, unfortunately, but he's now only half a second off the back of Pechev in the APG Motorsport car. As Simon Benoit goes past Gardigo too. Smokey looks to go around the outside. Very clean manoeuvre there. Manages to get it all done and sorted. Great overtake. What a little manoeuvre there from Smokey. Don't hook it up on the curb too much though, mate. Gotta be wary there. Seems like Gardigo must have had an off as there's now a 4-second gap between him and Simon. So Simon's really been released now to try and hunt down Davies. It's a 38.2 then from Riley. What can Andreas do? A 39 flat, 39.6 lowercase, 39.1 from Nick. What about Simon? What's he achieving? 37.9. So we know who the current pace setters are. Simon Benoit, Riley Gallardo, the two fastest cars on track. But this is probably one to keep an eye on. Nick Wu, Danny Dave, whatever you want to refer to him as, he's got 6 laps to realistically pick up the 2 places that are in front of him. He's that little bit quicker, but it's a very hard track to overtake him. He is catching up to lowercase at quite a great rate of knots. But still, catching up to him is one thing, overtaking is another. Look how much curb Nick's taking on the entry to that corner. He's really close to gap up there already. DJ Harris, that's another personal best of a 42.8 as well, but he's quite a way down. As Rosty's pulled into the pits too, so that's going to be pretty much a guaranteed 11th place finish for him. Nick Wu now. Coming into the final sector, he's got to be careful because he knows that the car in front isn't quite matching the same pace as him. Got to be wary of that, but also got to be pretty smart. Lowercase should go defensive here. He puts his car in the middle of the track. He's done a smart move. Nick's darting everywhere. No space though for him to get past. Lowercase very, very late on the brakes. Manages to get it sorted. Doesn't loop it round this time. Good man. And Nick is behind him for another lap. Andreas Specht, 37.9. Great lap from him. Nick's looking for the inside. That wasn't great. Massive, massive slide there from Nick. Holds it all, but he's dropped all the time that he's gained. He's got to be a bit more patient than that if he wants to get past. Play it smart. And luckily, that is another gap there for Lowercase. Bit of 1 second gap of breathing room now. So that'll probably be a lap of freedom against Nick to just try and have a little bit of a breather, maybe compose himself, because Nick has been very, very aggressive so far in this race. It's what he's got to do. So just compose himself a bit and prepare that Nick's probably going to be back for another overtake in a lap or two. But you can see how much more curb he's taking. He's almost all the way there already. It's a very, very good exit up onto the straight too from Nick. Got a lot of trust and faith in the car, you can tell. But all the time that he lost at the start of the laps really all disappeared. Nick is now right over the back of LC. And we're back in the same boat again. Nose to tail coming into the final sector. Let's see if Nick or LC is going to play it any different this time round. 5 laps to go. Riley Gallardo is your race leader by a 3.3 second margin. This is by far the closest battle on track. The battle for the final podium position. Lowercase versus Nick Wu. They're both so aggressive. Lowercase covers him back off under braking. Big lock up from Nick. Manages to keep the car up and together. Lowercase is going defensive already. He's not had a great exit out of the final corner onto the straight. Nick's looking for the inside. He chucks it there and he manages to get it clean through. Massive slide as well mid-corner. What an overtake there from Nick. Great little bit of car control, and Lowercase has got it all to do to if he wants to stick with him, but Lowercase has really done Andreas Specht a massive favour, as there's now a 3 second gap, or a 4 second gap between that third and second position spot. So Andreas has maybe got some thanking to do, but there has been some cracking lap time set from Andreas, so yeah, it's going to be close to see if Nick can catch him in them 4 laps, but this could be the finishing order of the race. Looking further down, Sven Hilger and Smokey 124. There's a battle brewing between these two. We've seen them as well pretty close in the first race, I believe, as well. And Sven and Smokies do seem to be on quite similar pace. That's the Motorbase Performance Porsche and the Redline Racing car. They're not a million miles off Simon Benoit too. A little bit deep from Smokey. That's going to ruin his exit. Sven now gets to cut back. Smokey's on the grass, and that's a guaranteed place there for Sven Hilger. Up into 7th place. Some good points for paying positions from these guys. Really depends, doesn't it, Stan, how close you can get. It's all going to be dependent on lap time, so we'll keep an eye on it through this time. But this little battle for 5th place, we've got Gardigo, Simon Benoit, Sven Hilger and Smokey, all within a couple seconds of each other. So it's a 38-1, 38-3. And what's Nick doing? A 38-0. So going off lap pace, he's not going to be able to get there. But who knows? Riley could make a mistake. Oh, speaking of mistakes, that's Gardigo round. And that's going to be Sven Hilger and Smokey124. A free position for them. Gardigo should be able to hold 8th place. It's going to be a great lap from Sven. That's a personal best of a 38.7. That's kind of released Simon Benoit. Maybe the pressure just got to Gardigo that little bit. Looped the car on corner exit, unfortunately. And that's him all the way down in 8th place now from what was looking like a promising 5th. Not too much difference in the points here, but as we know, every point helps. The gap still 7 seconds off the lead from Nick to Riley. Nick's managed to pull the gap in about half a second, I believe, so he's got 3 laps to get it all the way there. And Andreas is a very strong driver once he gets up to speed, so it'll be quite close. Sorry, I don't think it will be particularly too close at the front, but still some great consistent driving from them. It's very, very true, Stan. The race isn't over until the checkered flies, and I think that's what we're going to see here from this battle as people are getting a little bit cautious now. 3-car train, Simon Benoit, fastest lap setter from the first race, followed by Sven Hilger and the Smakey 124, who's always sort of been there, but never had that little bit of enough. Maybe the odd little mistake here, or got put in the wrong position by another car, and it's kind of messed him over this weekend. But still some consistent positions that's managed to get him some good points. Nick now pulls the gap down to 6.3, but Andreas Specht has got it down to 2.6, so maybe a mistake from Riley Gallardo at the front, but he's got 2.5 seconds. He can afford to lap 1.2 seconds slower a lap than the cars in front of him. Oh, massive slide there from Sven. Is he going to be able to hold it? Yes, he does. Very, very close there to a spin. Great job from Sven. You can tell how close these guys are to the limit. Really, really pushing every boundary they can get their hands on. Lap 10 out of 12. 2.5 to go. So it was a little bit deep that time from Sven, but with a wider line on exit, you can really slingshot the car off the corner and make some of that time back. See, these guys are nowhere near as aggressive on the curbs as Nick and Andreas and Riley have been all race. But if that's what they need to do, just to have that little bit more control over the car, it's better to lap that little bit slower but keep it all on the track. Gap now, 2 seconds out the front of the field. Riley Gallardo is your race leader. Just crosses the start finish line. 38.2, 37.8 from Andreas Specht. So we must have had a spinner, because I hear a car engine went very slow. I believe that's going to be, yeah, it is DJ Harris. He's on the inside of the track, very reminiscent to maybe what Calvin Burt did. We'll have to see how he rejoins. Luckily manages to back it up. I did see him go towards the track, so I thought, yeah, maybe that's not a good idea, mate. Keep it on the grass until the corner exit. Here comes lowercase. And, oh, he's in the void. Anywho, Andreas Specht, bit deep into the hairpin. That's lost him a bit of time as he was catching Riley at a bit of a considerable pace, actually. But Nick's nowhere to be seen, so maybe a mistake from him or just being a little bit cautious with the back marker. But Andreas did manage to get some time back with that 37.8 he sent last time round. Very high on the engine there, revs there from Riley by the sound of things. But so, oh no, that's not what you want to do, Andreas. I think they're all just pushing as fast as they can, and I think that's going to really kind of guarantee the race for Riley there. He was pulling him in at about half a second a lap for the last few. And, yeah, that little slide, that loss of momentum, a little bit of an overheat in the rear tyres too. The gap's now back up to 2.5. So, unless Riley makes a mistake, it's going to be a case of watching him come home. Massive lock-up there from Andreas. Keeps the car all up together, though. Let's have a look back at this battle for 5th. It's Simon Benoit, then Sven Hilger, and then Smakey 124. These three have been in the train for quite a while. Neither of them, or none of them, have really been close enough to try and make a manoeuvre for a little while, but really the class of the field tonight: Riley Gallardo, Andreas Specht, Nick Wu, and Simon Benoit. Simon, unfortunately, having that lap 1 collision that sent him really all the way back down to the back of the field. When he got tangled up, I believe it might have been with Gardigo, but Gardigo had quite a good race too. He was running up in 4th or 5th at one point, I do believe, and then unfortunately had a spin at the final corner like we've seen a few drivers do. Lowercase as well, very notable mention to hold 4th position, whether that be through the misfortune of others, but it still takes something to not have some misfortune yourself. So good job there to LC for bringing it in 4th, and Sven Hilger was unfortunately on the final lap put it in the gravel at the fast left-hander, and that's dropped him down behind Smokey. So Smokey's going to get that 6th place now unless he makes a mistake. Last lap shenanigans. Very unfortunate. But Riley Gallardo is the man to beat in that second race, and judging by his form so far this season, could be the case on the whole. 3 wins out of 4 races. Andreas Specht in second place too. Got the gap down to 1.5 seconds. What a little bit of a race this second one has been. Flash of the lights there for Riley. Brings it home in first place. Andreas Specht in second. Nick Wu powers under the Commonwealth Bridge to bring the car home in third in lowercase. Don't spin it on the last lap this time round, mate. That is 4th position. So congratulations to you, my friend. So what's the final cars coming through the field? That's going to be Simon Benoit. Brings it back home from last to 5th. Good job from him. It seems like we did have a spin on the final corner. That's going to be Smokey 124. How far back was Sven Hilger? Not close enough. Oh, look how close that was. Unfortunately for Smokey, he did the exact same thing LC did last time round. Here comes Gardigo to bring the car home in 8th. And Hristo Pechev will be the rest of the field in 9th place. So, congratulations to Riley Gallardo, Andreas Specht and Nick Wu for the podium, and congratulations to everybody really who has turned up tonight and managed to slog it out this evening. So bit of a smaller grid, as I said. Unfortunately I couldn't participate myself due to a hardware issue, but it's been very, very good fun commentating, especially that first race as we see Hristo Pechev come home in the ABG Motorsport car to round off the field. Thank you to all who watched the stream this evening. It's very much appreciated, and I hope you've enjoyed it. This might not be a regular thing, so make the most of it while you can, guys. But yeah, thank you all for attending this evening. Your final race results. Fastest lap went to Andreas Specht. Good job for him. Let's take a screenshot of the results before that goes walkies. Yeah, maybe we'll do this more often. Depends if the hardware keeps packing up. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? But fingers crossed it won't, because I really do enjoy the racing. Glad everybody enjoyed it. Hope the audio levels were good. And thank you all for coming. It's been very, very much appreciated, and I have had some fun this evening. So thank you guys. And yeah, do feel free if you wish to get involved. There is a link in the description to join us. As well as if you're not already, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I do upload once in a blue moon, so you never know, you might get a surprise. Thank you guys all for coming this evening, and I shall see you very soon, hopefully.